What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Tuesday, June 11th. Absolutely wild stuff out there on Monday night, guys. We came through with the perfect 4-0 day. Things got off to a very smooth start with the Orioles minus 155 coming through. We also had the Twins minus 1.5. Those were pretty much no sweat situations. Those ones came through for us pretty comfortably, but then things got really tight and really weird. We had the Mariners minus 1.5 in a very close game with the White Sox all the way down the stretch until we saw a grand slam home run from the Mariners there in the ninth inning to get the win and cover for us in that one, so put that one on the board. And then even more craziness down the stretch in the Giants game. In the 10th inning, we saw the Astros absolutely fall apart. They had multiple errors in that inning. It was just a comedy of errors out there, and we saw the Giants eventually come away with the one-run win. So a perfect 4-0 day. Put that one on the board, guys. Feels pretty great out there. Let's hope we can keep things rolling here with a big Tuesday slate. Before we get into the games, do me a big favor, guys, and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Atlanta Braves taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Atlanta comes into this game fresh off of losing 3 in a row to the Washington Nationals. They lost 3 out of 4 in that series. They're down to 35-28 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Max Fried, who's 6-2 on the year with a 2.93 ERA. He's looking pretty decent coming into this game. I mean, he gave up 2 earned runs over 7 innings his last time out. That was a start at Boston, so looked pretty good in that one. We also see that the Braves are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, so nothing wrong with that. Also, not a ton really wrong with the Atlanta bullpen here. I mean, we see they're pretty solidly a top 10, maybe borderline top 10, but definitely above average bullpen, so not a ton of concerns there. Obviously, this team hasn't been looking great recently, whether we're talking about at the plate or on the mound. Right now, they're sitting at around 18th in the majors in runs scored. They are still top 10 in the majors in slugging percentage, so I guess that's something, but this is not a team that is swinging the hottest bats right now. I mean, they're 16th in the majors and on base percentage also, so below average on that number. Just not really feeling it here with the Atlanta Braves, and they're going to need to figure something out here going up against the Baltimore Orioles, who just swept a 4-game series there at Tampa Bay. They won their last game 5-2. We had that one, so put it on the board. Thank you, Baltimore Orioles. They're 43-22 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Albert Suarez, who's 2-0 on the year with a 1.83 ERA. He's coming off of a very good outing there against the Toronto Blue Jays, where he went 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs over 5 hits. He still hasn't given up a home run in any of his last 5 outings, so that's pretty impressive. His last 3 times on the mound have all been starts, and while they haven't been against the best hitting teams, I mean, a good start there against the White Sox, a solid start against the Rays, and then a good start there against the Toronto Blue Jays. Still, that's very solid stuff, so nothing bad for me to say about him right now. And the Orioles bullpen has been good all season long. Right now, they're sporting a bullpen ERA of 3.17, which is excellent for sure. I mean, clearly top 10, so definitely looking at their bullpen as a solid one, and they're hitting the ball really well right now, guys, and have been all season long. I mean, 5, 9, 5, and 6 runs over their last 4 games. Nothing wrong with that. We saw Gunnar Henderson smash another home run. He's up to 21 home runs on the season, and he's still batting .274, which is very impressive. This team is 2nd in the majors in runs scored, 1st in the majors in slugging percentage. They're also batting nearly .250 as a team. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, it seems pretty crazy to me that the Orioles are plus 122 playing at home. I mean, Baltimore is 21-12 at home. I know Max Fried is really good, so I mean, I totally get it. We also see an over-under of 8.5 in this game. I'm probably not super interested in the over-under. There's contradictory trends for these two teams, but I'm leaning towards the Orioles plus 122. I think they're the better team right now for sure. I do think they're at a bit of a disadvantage in terms of the starter here, because I do not really think Suarez is going to go super deep into this game necessarily. I mean, he hasn't made it deeper than 5 innings into a game, but regardless, we're not worried about putting the Orioles bullpen out there on the mound. They're a great bullpen, so give me the Orioles plus 122 in this game. It's definitely got a shot to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Nationals come into this game fresh off of winning 3 in a row against the Atlanta Braves. They won 3 out of 4 in that series. They're up to 30-35 on the year, which honestly isn't bad given the low expectations this team had coming into the season. They're hitting the ball in this one to Mitchell Parker. He is 4-3 on the year with a 3.47 ERA, coming off a very good good start there against Atlanta. It is a start that we saw his team eventually lose 5-2, but he went 7 innings, he had 3 hits and 2 earned runs. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. He has not allowed more than 3 earned runs over any of his last 5 starts, so that's pretty impressive stuff. He's been looking good. The Washington bullpen, I mean, I'm not really going to be able to say that they're amazing. They're definitely below average. A 3.99 bullpen ERA, not necessarily a complete disaster, but not amazing, like not a bullpen we're super stoked about. And this offense has come alive lately. I mean, they've scored 8, 7, and 2 runs over their last 3 games, so that's nice, but they're not really an offense we can trust. Not a lot of consistency there. They're 23rd in the majors in runs scored. They are 27th in the majors in slugging percentage, so that's a concern. They're only batting .232 as a team, so not an amazing offense. They're going to have to find a way to cobble together some runs here against the Tigers, who come into this game 32-33 on the season, fresh off that 10-2 win in their last game of the series against the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost the first 2 games of that series, so good for them salvaging a game there. They're going to be hitting the ball in this one to Kenta Maeda. He is 2-2 on the year with a 6.25 ERA. He's coming off of a weird outing against the Texas Rangers. He left after throwing 2 pitches due to abdominal discomfort, so apparently he's healthy enough to start this game. I guess we'll have to see how long he's actually out there. That's a pretty big question mark, and the last time we saw him actually throw meaningful pitches, I mean, he only lasted 4 2/3 innings back on the 31st of last month against the Boston Red Sox. He gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs. So yeah, this isn't a guy that we're necessarily super high on. He's definitely had his issues this season. And the Tigers bullpen in general, guys, they're about league average. So not terrible, but not great. And this offense isn't one we can trust to put up a lot of runs. I mean, they did just score 10 runs against the Brewers, so that's nice. But over the last few games, they've scored 10, 4, 0, 1, and 3 runs. Like, not an offense you're super scared of. They're 19th in the majors in runs scored. They're all the way down to 27th in the big leagues, guys, in on-base percentage. Getting on base at a .297 clip is not going to get the job done. They're only batting .230 as a team. This is just not a great offensive team. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Nationals at -108, the Tigers at -102. We see an over-under in this game of 8.5. We see Washington is not bad on the road, guys. They're 17-18 on the road, which not terrible. The Tigers are only 15-17 at home, which also isn't great. We see the Tigers are officially the best team in the majors now to the over, which is pretty wild stuff to me. They're 37-25-3 to the over. We see the Nationals are a slight under team. Not super interested in the over-under in this game. If you wanted to go under thinking Maeda is going to have a good game, I guess you could consider that. But guys, we're going to be leaning towards the Washington Nationals -108 in this one. Really no faith here in Maeda, and not a ton of faith in the Tigers bullpen. Not a lot of faith in either one of these teams to put up a lot of runs. So this is just a slight lean towards the Nationals, but we'll just have to see how things pan out here, whether or not this one can end up in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. The Cubs come into this game fresh off of a win, but they only managed to win 1 out of 4 in that series against the Cincinnati Reds. They're 32-34 on the season, so definitely not in a great spot. They're hitting the ball in this game to Jameson Taillon. He is 3-2 this season with a 3.47 ERA, coming off of a terrible start against the Chicago White Sox. That's a little bit of a tough look, guys. He went 5 innings, gave up 10 hits, 5 earned runs. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in each of his last 4 starts, and he capped one off with a pretty bad start there against the White Sox. Yeah, guys, over his last 5, things have not looked good. The Cubs are only 1-4 over those 5 games, with that 1 win coming in his terrible start against the White Sox. So yeah, he has cooled off drastically since getting off to a hot start. The Cubs bullpen is hovering there around league average. A 3.62 bullpen ERA is fine, but not exactly amazing. And this offense, not one that we're looking at as firing on any or all cylinders, guys. They scored 4, 3, 2, and 4 runs in their series at Cincinnati. You can't score any runs in the Great American Ballpark. That's a pretty tough look. The Cubs are sitting at 26th in the majors in team batting average, 14th in the majors in runs scored. This just isn't an offense that's really got the legs right now. Things are not looking good for the Chicago Cubs. They're hoping they can turn it around here, going up against the Tampa Bay Rays, who just lost 4 in a row to the Baltimore Orioles. They're down to 31-35 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Zach Eflin. He is 3-4 this year with a 4.14 ERA, coming off of a short but decent start there against Miami Marlins. We also do notice that the Rays have won his last 4 starts, so that's something to take into consideration. He's been keeping his team in the game. I mean, I guess that start against the Toronto Blue Jays, where he gave up 4 earned runs on 9 hits over 6 innings, maybe doesn't really qualify as a great start, but in general, he's been keeping his team in the game, kind of giving them a chance to win here. One of the bigger problems for the Rays has been their bullpen this season, guys. They're definitely in the bottom third of the majors. A 4.42 bullpen ERA is not going to get the job done, and yeah, this offense really kind of having to try and carry the load here, but has not been working, or at least was not working against the Orioles, guys. They scored 2, 2, 0, and 3 runs against the Baltimore Orioles. Not great stuff. This team's down to 27th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in slugging percentage, so really no power numbers coming out of them here. And yeah, it's been a pretty tough time for the Tampa Bay Rays. They do at least get to go back home for this game where they've been a little bit better, but I mean, 17-21 at home is nothing to, crow about. So they're taking on a Cubs team that's only 14-21 on the road. So looking at the other numbers for this game, we see the Cubs at plus 110, the Rays at minus 130. We see an over-under in this game of 7.5. Guys, I'm definitely leaning towards the Tampa Bay Rays minus 130 in this game. I think it's a good bounce back spot for them. I'm not going to say it's necessarily a letdown spot for the Cubs, but they're going on the road to play against, an American League opponent. Like, just kind of a tough spot for the Cubs, and we also see Tyone's not having a great time lately, so definitely leaning towards the Tampa Bay Rays in this one. Next on the docket, we've got the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. The Guardians come into this game winners of 2 in a row against the Marlins. They lost game 1 of that series 3-2, but then took care of business pretty comfortably in the last 2 games of that series. They're 42-22 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Tristan McKenzie. He's 2-3 on the year with a 4.16 ERA coming off of a bad start there against the Kansas City Royals. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 9 hits, 5 earned runs. He gave 3 home runs. Over his last 3 games, respectively, guys, he's given up 3, 2, and 3 home runs. That is not a great look, especially when your starts were against the Royals. Okay, the Royals are good. I'll give you some credit. That's fine. If you have a bad start against the Royals, we can get over that. But a bad start against the Colorado Rockies, that's a tough look, and a bad start against the Mets. That's another pretty tough look. The dude's getting tons of run support, though. We do see that the Guardians are 4-1 over his last 5 starts. So, I mean, I guess, you can get away with throwing some pretty bad pitches if you're getting that kind of run support, but not a guy that we're super high on right now. And in general, guys, I mean, is the Cleveland bullpen amazing? I don't know if I'd say amazing. They're borderline top 5 in the majors, though, so not bad. Clearly well above average, and this offense has been putting it together. They've scored 14 runs over their last 2 games. Maybe didn't have the greatest series there. I mean, I don't know. They had 1 good game, 1 bad game against the Royals, so this is an offense a little bit hit or miss, no pun intended, but over the course of the season, they've been very good. I mean, 6th in the majors in runs scored and 7th in the majors in on-base percentage, so they probably expect to score some runs against the Cincinnati Reds in this game, but the Reds have been playing great lately. They're up to 32-34 in the season. They did lose the last game of that 4-game series against the Cubs, but hey, taking 3 out of 4, not a problem. They're handing the ball in this game to Brent Suter. He is yet to figure in a result this season. He's going to be making his 2nd appearance of the year. His first appearance was a 1-inning relief appearance there against the Cubs, where he didn't give up a hit in his 1 inning of work. So he's going to be making the start in this game, which is a little bit concerning since he pitched yesterday on the 9th, or not yesterday, the day before yesterday, but still a little bit concerning. Not a ton of rest. Now he's going to be starting. How deep can we count on him to go in this game? I would say not very deep. The Cincinnati bullpen has been exactly league average, guys. They're 15th in the majors with a 3.89 bullpen ERA. So while that's not a disaster, it's not exactly something, we're not going to be pumped to see their bullpen working through an entire game. So we'll just have to see what they can actually do. A lot might ride on their offense for this game, but offense has not really been amazing this season, although it's looked a lot better recently, but that's in series against the Cubs and the Colorado Rockies, guys. So have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt here. They're putting up really big numbers against some pretty weak opponents. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Guardians at minus 124. We see the Reds at plus 106. We see an over-under in this game of 9. Cleveland is 21-14 on the road, which is very respectable. We see the Reds are only 17-18 at home, which for a team that's around 500, that's not too crazy. We'd expect to see them do a little bit better at home, but the big question for this game, guys, is the Cincinnati starter and the Cincinnati bullpen. All the things surrounding that really make me lean towards the Guardians in this game. I mean, is Tristan McKenzie a monster out there? Not necessarily, but he pitches well enough, and his team seems to give him a ton of run support. So give me the Cleveland Guardians minus 124 on the road, where they're very solid this season. I think they've got a good chance to win this game and a good chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Miami Marlins going on the road here to take on the New York Mets. We see the Marlins come into this game fresh off of back-to-back losses there to the Guardians. They're 22-43 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Jesus Luzardo. He's 2-5 this year with a 5.30 ERA, coming off of getting absolutely shelled by the Tampa Bay Rays. His start before that was fairly serviceable at the Padres, but maybe not amazing. He did have 2 great back-to-back starts there against the Brewers and against the Mets, but this is definitely a guy that I expect to struggle a little bit with some consistency here, and the Miami bullpen backing him up here is actually a very good spot. We see the Marlins bullpen ERA looking very respectable. Like, this is a, it's a bullpen, it's some relief, it's a relief squad that doesn't look terrible, so give them some credit where credit is due, but this offense has been looking terrible, guys. Over their last 3 games, it's were 3, 0, and 2 runs respectively. So yeah, not fantastic there. This just isn't an offense you can really count on. They're 29th in the majors in runs scored, 29th in the majors in slugging percentage. It's looking like this might be the second worst offense in baseball right there, slightly ahead of the Chicago White Sox. So not super high on the Marlins right now for obvious reasons. They're taking on the Mets, who come to this game fresh off of a 6-5 win there against the Phillies. So has to feel pretty good about that one. It was kind of a weird game. Obviously, it was in London, but 28 and 36 on the year, not a great spot. They're handing the ball in this game to Taylor Megill. He's 1-2 on the season with a 3.00 ERA, coming off of a mediocre start there against the Nationals. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 runs. 4 of them were earned on 7 hits. He also gave up a home run in that game. In general, though, he's looked very solid, especially pitching at home this year. In fairly limited action, though. I mean, we haven't seen him on the mound too many times. This is going to be his 5th appearance of the year. So we'll see what we actually get out of him. In terms of their bullpen, the Mets haven't been very good at all. They're 25th in the majors with a 4.26 bullpen ERA. So that doesn't exactly fill us with a ton of optimism. Neither does their offense. Maybe they're coming alive here a little bit. I mean, they've scored 6, 2, 9, 6, and 8 runs respectively over the last few games. So definitely swinging hotter bats than they're used to having, this season in general. But I don't know. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored, 15th in the majors in batting average. This is kind of an average offense, but maybe average offense is enough here against the Marlins. We see Miami is plus 114 in this game. The Mets are minus 134 at home, and we see an over-under of 7.5. Miami is only 10 and 18 on the road, but the Mets are only 13 and 21 at home. We see both teams showing trends towards the over, so honestly, I don't hate taking over 7.5 in this game at all. That might be my lean in this game. I would say over 7.5, and then maybe also a slight lean on the Mets, but in general, guys, this is not a game I'm very interested in. Next on the docket, guys, we get the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of a loss there in London, but they got to fly back to Boston, and they split that series. They won 7-2, and they honestly probably should have won game 2 also, but not a ton of hard feelings for a team that is 45 and 20 on the year. Handing the ball in this game to Zach Wheeler, who's 7-3 on this season with a 2.23 ERA, coming off of a great start there against the Brewers. He went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, only a single earned run. He struck out 6 and walked 3. He's been looking very, very good this season overall. I mean, his last 4 starts have all been excellent. Not a lot of bad things to say about Wheeler, and honestly, guys, not a lot of bad things to say about the Phillies bullpen. They are 6th in the majors right now with a 3.22 bullpen ERA, so absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the Phillies offense has been one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball, currently number 1 in runs scored. They are 4th in on-base percentage, 6th in slugging percentage. We see Bryce Harper hitting the ball well, just like everybody, up and down this roster, that everybody's hitting the ball well. Like, this is a offensive juggernaut. Expect them to put up plenty of offense pretty much regardless of what pitcher they're facing. They're going up against the Red Sox in this one, who just managed to scrape out 2 wins in a 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox. It came down to, I can't remember, very late in the game to win in game 4 of that series. They were losing 3-1 in that series against the White Sox. Like, embarrassing stuff. The Red Sox are only 33 and 33 on the year, handing the ball to Cutter Crawford, who's 2-5 this season with a 3.51 ERA, coming off of a bad start there against the Atlanta Braves. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 runs, 4 of them were earned. He walked 2. The dude's given up at least 4 earned runs over his last 3 starts. He's actually given up at least 5 runs over those last 3 starts, if we're just counting runs straight up, not just earned runs. So he has not been looking good lately, and the Boston Red Sox bullpen also has not been having a great season in general. They did deal with a lot of injuries early on, like, we'll definitely give them that, but not a bullpen that I'm super pumped about, and also not an offense that I'm super pumped about. I mean, they've been dealing with some injuries and stuff like that, but yeah, overall, you would have expected this team to put up a little bit more offense. Like, just in general, you would expect them to score some more runs. It's not really happening. Somehow they're 11th in the majors in runs scored, which honestly just seems made up to me. It just feels like every game you're seeing this team struggle. Tyler O'Neill's been missing time with his ailing knee, so is he going to be at 100%? Is he even going to be playing in this game? Yeah, just not a lot of positive things to say here about the Boston Red Sox. Look at the numbers of this game, guys. We see the Phillies are 17 and 10 on the road. The Red Sox are 14 and 18 at home, so not too good there at Fenway. The Phillies are minus 158 in this game. The Red Sox are plus 136, and we see an over-under of 8.5. Guys, we are going to be hammering it on the Phillies minus 158 in this game. You could also take a look at taking the Phillies minus 1.5 to get them at plus 105. I think they're going to win this game pretty comfortably. We might not get greedy. We might just take the Phillies minus 158 for the pinned comment play, but I won't blame you if you're taking them minus 1.5 because I think they are going to get after Cutter Crawford early and often. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Twins came through for us with a 5-0 win in game 1 of this series, so we'll take that, put it on the board. The Rockies have now lost 3 out of their last 4. They're 23-43 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Cal Quantrill. He's 5-4 this year with a 3.58 ERA. He's doing everything he can to put this team in a position to win, but man, it is a tough job. We do see the Rockies are 3-2 over his last 5 starts, so that's something. His last time out, he was very good against the St. Louis Cardinals. He went 5 innings, gave 3 hits and no runs. He walked 4 and only struck out 1, so not exactly amazing. Not a huge strikeout guy, at least over his last 3 starts, and I mean, he's had good starts recently against the Dodgers and against the Phillies, so definitely give the guy some credit. He deserves it, but he's not exactly pitching for a great team, and when he comes out of the game and he's not a guy that goes super deep into games, the Rockies bullpen has been one of the worst 3 to 5 bullpens in Major League Baseball, guys. They're sporting a 4.48 bullpen ERA, and you can only blame so much of that for pitching at Coors Field. And the Rockies offense doesn't really look like a Coors Field style offense to me. They're 17th in the majors in slugging percentage, 21st in the majors in runs scored. Over the last few games, they scored 0, 1, 6, 5, and 3 runs, respectively. Like, not great stuff. Not a team that's hitting the ball particularly well. They're going to have to figure out some offense here going up against the Twins, who are 35-31 in the season. They snapped that little losing streak there with back-to-back wins now. They've won 5-0 in game 1 of this series, like we just said. They're handing the ball in this one to Louis Varland. He's 0-4 on the year with a 9.18 ERA. So not exactly having a great time through his first 4 starts this year, guys. I mean, his last time out, he only lasted 2 2/3 innings against the Tigers. Start before that, he got just slaughtered by the Orioles. Like, he's not having a good time. He has faced some pretty stiff competition, and maybe going up against the Colorado Rockies will give him a chance to shine, but man, it seems a bit sketch, and the Twins bullpen, which seems very likely to get in a lot of work in this game, guys. I mean, the dude has not been going deep into games. They're sporting a 4.18 bullpen ERA, so not exactly super stoked about that. They did manage to score 5 runs, and they've scored a combined 16 runs over their last 2 games, so they're swinging some pretty hot bats right now. This hasn't been a bad hitting team in general this season, so maybe they can put up enough offense to win this game. But yeah, guys, with Cal Quantrill out there on the mound, I'm not super high on that. I don't really have a great lean on this game. I mean, we see an over-under of 8.5. The Twins are minus 200. The Rockies are plus 168. I think I'm actually going to lean towards the Rockies plus 168 in this game. I don't think it's going to quite make it into the pinned comment. They're only 10-25 on the road, which is obviously terrible. So yeah, banking on them getting a win here seems a bit tough, but they're definitely my lean in this game. I have no faith in Louis Garland, and I think Quantrill is a very solid starter. So give me the Rockies plus 168 as a small lean. Motoring right along here through these picks, guys, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Pirates come into this game fresh off of an 11-5 loss there against the Minnesota Twins, but at 31-34 in the season, they're trying to claw their way out of the bottom of the NL Central, but they're pretty much right there with the bottom 4 teams that are all chasing against the Milwaukee Brewers. They're handing the ball in this game to one of the most exciting young players in baseball right now. We're going to see Paul Skeens out there on the mound. He's 3-0 this season with a 3.00 ERA. He's coming off of maybe, I guess we could say his worst start of the season, but you know, let's cut the dude some slack. He was pitching against the Dodgers. He went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs in a game we did see the Pirates eventually win 10-6. We all see the Pirates are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, so that's all very positive stuff. He's showing insane stuff out there on the mound. I mean, the effortless 100 miles an hour, or at least it looks effortless to me. I don't know. It's got to be hard, otherwise everybody would do it. But dude is throwing absolute fireballs out there, so very high on Skeens in this game. When he eventually comes out, which is, you know, he's not going to be throwing complete games. They're not going to leave their youngest arm out there to just get shredded. The Pirates bullpen is sporting a 3.94 ERA, so not incredible, not terrible, somewhere around league average. So that's fine. Their offense isn't swinging the hottest bats. I mean, losing 11-5 isn't great, but they scored 5, 4, and 3 runs there against the Twins. And this offense hasn't been great this season, don't get me wrong. I mean, 20th in runs scored, 24th in on-base percentage, getting on base at just over a 300 clip. But they've had their moments here over their last 10 or so games where they've looked very good. So this is a team that can usually produce some offense here. They're going up against the Cardinals, so they might not have to produce that much offense. The Cardinals just split a 4-game series with the Rockies. They won the last game of that one 5-1. They're handing the ball in this game to Miles Mikolas. He's 4-6 this season with a 5.32 ERA. He is coming off of a pretty good start there against the Houston Astros. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, and 2 earned runs. runs, so he did not look bad in that one. Definitely give him his credit, but he's had his weird stretches this season. He seems to be lacking a little bit of control, doesn't have the strikeout stuff that it felt like he used to have. He has gone 6 innings in each of his last 3 starts, so that's something, and he had a good start at the Phillies in a game the Cardinals lost 4-2, so we're going to give him a little bit of credit, but the Cardinals bullpen is nothing to write home about. A 4.08 bullpen ERA is not great, and the Cardinals hitters, that's been their real problem this season. I mean, over their last 4 games, they've scored 5, 5, 8, and 2 runs respectively, and that is a just crazy good stretch of offense for the Cardinals this year, guys. This has been one of the weaker offensive teams in baseball. Over their last, we'll say, like 20 games or so, they've turned it around a little bit, but they're still 26th in the majors in runs scored, 23rd in slugging percentage. They are 20th in the majors in on-base percentage. Nobody really scares me that much at the plate for the Cardinals right now. I mean, yeah. Just not a lot of huge positive things to say about the Cardinals offense. Like I said, they have seemed to have turned some kind of corner, but is that going to be a corner that they can count as turned going up against Skeens? I do not think so. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Pirates at -125, the Cardinals at +112, and we see an over-under in this game of 7.5. So the odds makers are not expecting it to be high scoring. I am also not expecting it to be high scoring. I think this would be a fairly reasonable game to look at as a no-run first inning spot, possibly, but we're going to be leaning towards the Pirates and Skeens -125. You want to take the Pirates first 5. I think that's definitely a reasonable idea, but we're going to be taking the Pirates -125 overall. I think they find a way to get the job done here with Skeens on the mound going up against the Cardinals. Next on the docket, guys, we got the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. The Yankees come into this game fresh off of a 4-2 win there in Game 1. They've now won 2 in a row. We saw Juan Soto come back. He was out there. He had a single in his first at-bat, so he seems like he's picking up right where he left off. We saw Rodon have a good start there for sure. The Yankees are 47-21 in the year, handing the ball in this game to Marcus Stroman, who's 5-2 this season with a 3.04 ERA. He's coming off a pretty bad start, maybe one of his worst starts of the season, guys. He got knocked around by the Twins. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, so not good, and a big departure from A, his history against the Twins this season, and B, how he had pitched over his 4 starts previous to that. He looked very good, so we're definitely looking at him as in something of a bounce back spot. I mean, he avoided taking the loss in that game thanks to the Yankees eventually winning 8-5. We also see that the Yankees are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, and that the Yankees have by far the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. Absolutely dominant. Once the bullpen's in there, you can pretty much just close up shop. That game is over. So the Yankees also have the best offense in baseball, or I don't know, it's at least very close. We've got Soto back out there. He's looking good. All indications are that he will play in this game and that he's pretty much back to normal. He'll either DH or we'll see him out there, but either way, he's going to be at the plate, and that's where we really care that he be. So they're second in the majors in runs scored, second in the majors in slugging percentage, and they're also second in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 333 clip. So that's pretty wild stuff. It's going to be up to the Royals to try and slow that down. The Kansas City Royals are 39-28 on the season, coming off of back-to-back losses. They're going to be handing the ball in this game to Brady Singer, who's 4-2 this season with a 2.76 ERA. We see the Royals are 4-1 over his last 5 starts. They haven't necessarily been against the toughest competition, and his last time out, he had a really hard time against the Cleveland Guardians, guys. He went 3 2/3 innings, gave up 9 hits and 3 runs. He gave up a home run in that game. He's given up a home run in 3 out of his last 5 starts. So, well, it's not, I guess, a complete disaster. It's a little bit of a concern when you're about to go up against the Yankees. The Kansas City Royals bullpen is slightly above average, but I'm not ready to put them in the elite category. I don't think they're in the top like 6 to 8 bullpens in Major League Baseball. And while this offense has definitely had their moments this season over extended periods of time, it's been a way better offense than I would have thought it would be. But they're 5th in the majors in runs scored and 7th in the majors in batting average. But over the last couple of games, we've seen some cracks here. We've seen some question marks. I mean, they only scored 2 runs in the first game of this series. They hit the ball great against the Mariners. We see some kind of disturbing news here, though. We've got Renfroe out. He fouled 2 pitches off of his toe and broke it, so I can only assume that he's going to be out for this game. That would be some crazy Iron Man type stuff if he's going to be able to play with a fractured left big toe. Got to do something about that whole fouling balls off your front foot guy. I don't know if you're going to have to change your batting stance or what you're going to have to do, but God, that's going to hurt. So he's at least not going to be at 100%, but I can only assume he's going to be out for this game, and that's a pretty significant loss there for the Royals, and they're going to need everything they've got here going up against the Yankees team that is just crushing it right now. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Yankees are -130. We see that the Royals are +114. We got an over-under in this game of 9. The Yankees are a great road team. team. They're an MLB best 24-11 on the road, but the Royals are great at home. They're 24-11 at home. We see both teams showing trends towards the under, so maybe you could take a look at under 9 in this game. I think that's a very playable spot, but in general, guys, I'm leaning towards the New York Yankees on the road in this game. I think they're in a very good spot to get another win despite going up against Singer. I'm not really loving how he's looked lately, and he hasn't been taking on the toughest opponents, and the Yankees very much are the toughest opponent, so give me the Yankees minus 130 in this game. I think it's got a very solid shot to end up in the pin comment. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we've got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Angels come into this game fresh off of a win there against the Houston Astros. They won 9-7, so they're up to 25-40 on the season. Yeah, not exactly having a great time. Handing the ball in this game to Jose Suarez, who is yet to figure in a result this season. He's going to be making the start after being in the bullpen the vast majority, or actually the entire year so far. He's looked pretty decent out of the pen. He's had his issues, like he gave up a couple of hits and a run there against the Yankees. He gave up 4 hits over 3 1/3 and 2 earned runs against the Cleveland Guardians, so hasn't exactly been locking things down. And in general, guys, the Angels bullpen has been one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, so that's a pretty big concern. Their offense generally isn't able to pick up the slack. I mean, they did just score 9 runs in the last game, but in the 2 games before that, they combined to score 2 runs. So not an offense that you can really trust. They're down to 26 in the majors in on-base percentage, 22nd in the majors in runs scored. Nobody in this lineup really scares me too much at the plate, so not too high on them. They're taking on a Diamondbacks team that comes into this game fresh off of splitting a 4-game series there at the San Diego Padres. They're sitting at 31-35 in the year, handing the ball in this game to Jordan Montgomery. He's 3-4 in the season with a 6.80 ERA, coming off of back-to-back starts, getting just absolutely shelled by the Mets and then shelled again by the San Francisco Giants. So the dude is not having a good time right now, and it's also not a great look when you come out and they bring in a bullpen that's putting up a bullpen ERA of 4.52. Yeah, almost worst in the majors. So not a lot of good things to say here about the Diamondbacks pitching staff, and not a ton of great things to say about their offense. I mean, they are 9th in the majors in runs scored, so that's something, but man, very inconsistent it feels like, and yeah, just not a ton of positive things to say. Could they put up some runs in this spot? For sure. They're going up against the Angels bullpen effectively, so they should definitely score some runs. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers definitely expect them to score some runs. We have the Diamondbacks minus 175, the Angels plus 152. We've got an over-under in this game of 9, with both of these teams basically being 50-50 over-under teams. I definitely tend to look towards the over in this game. I think there's going to be plenty of offense with 2 pretty weak pitching staffs going up against each other. You can also take the Diamondbacks at home minus 175 based on the fact they're going up against the Angels bullpen, but in general, guys, this is a game that's definitely a stay-away spot for me. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Chicago White Sox. They're going to be going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners after that absolutely insane game we witnessed last night, with Seattle ending up covering for us, but with a 9th inning grand slam home run. So very, very crazy stuff. The White Sox come into this game, obviously the worst team in Major League Baseball. They've only won 17 games. They're 17-50 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Drew Thorpe. He's going to be making his first appearance coming out of the minor leagues, so obviously not a ton of great things for me to say about him. The White Sox bullpen also isn't very good. I mean, it's currently sitting in last in the major leagues with a 4.59 bullpen ERA, so that's kind of embarrassing. They're also clearly the worst team in Major League Baseball at the plate, last in runs scored and on base percentage, yada yada. Not going to spend a lot of time talking about the freaking Chicago White Sox, guys. They are absolutely terrible. They're taking on the Seattle Mariners in this game, who really messed around there in game 1. Could have lost that game, maybe even should have lost that game. They figured it out in the end. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Brian Wu, who's 3-0 this season with a 1.07 ERA, coming off of a dominant start there at Oakland, where he went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs. He's actually given up no runs in 3 of his last 4 starts. The dude's been absolutely lights out. He shut out the Yankees over 6 innings, guys. He is looking cartoonishly good out there. The Seattle Mariners bullpen is also very, very good. No shocker there. We see that they're sitting at 38-30 on the season, and not a ton of that is due to their offense, although the offense has been coming alive a little bit. I mean, scoring 8 runs looks an awful lot better after hitting that grand slam in the 9th inning, but yeah, regardless, not super high on this offense, but they're going up against the Chicago White Sox in a minor leaguer, so how scared should we really be? The numbers for this game are pretty wild, which you would kind of expect to see. The White Sox at plus 194, the Mariners at minus 225. The White Sox are 5-26 on the road, where Seattle is close to the best in the majors at 21-11 at home. So pretty impressive stuff by Seattle at home. If you take the Mariners minus 1.5, you can get them at minus 115. So if you're brave enough to gamble on the Mariners minus 1.5, again, guys, I think it's not a terrible spot at all. I think they should easily dominate the White Sox once again. I hope they'll have a little bit more urgency in this game, and it won't go so late. I also expect Wu to shut them out like completely shut out the White Sox, very likely over 5 to 7 innings. So that should put Seattle in a very good spot to comfortably win this game. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Oakland Athletics going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. We saw the Padres get the 6-1 win there in game 1, so the Athletics taking the loss there, something they're getting pretty used to this season. They're hitting the ball in this one to JP Sears. He's 4-5 on the year with a 3.93 ERA coming off of a very good start there against Seattle Mariners, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 earned runs at home against Seattle, so not a bad outing there. He's looked pretty decent in a couple of his starts recently, but man, how much can you really do for this Oakland A's team? It's got to be a little bit tough out there. And man, when you come out, we see the A's bullpen going in there, which honestly has been a little bit better than you would expect, sitting at 23rd in the majors with a 4.19 bullpen ERA, but obviously that's still not great, still clearly below average. And speaking of below average, looking at the A's offense, not amazing, guys. 28th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in on-base percentage. They've scored 1, 4, 0, and 2 runs over their last 4 games. Just not swinging the hottest bats and just not an offense you can really trust. They're taking on a Padres team that comes into this game winners of 3 of their last 4 overall. They just won 6-1 in game 1. They are up to 35-35 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Randy Vasquez, who is 1-3 on the year with a 5.40 ERA. He's seeming to kind of figure some stuff out. I mean, his last start against the Diamondbacks, he went 6 2/3, which is deeper than he normally goes into games. He gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs, but he gave up 2 home runs in that game. So, like, you know, just not great stuff. The pitching staff has really been an issue here for the Padres, and the bullpen, guys, I mean, it's not great. It's below average for sure. A 3.95 bullpen ERA isn't great. A lot of pressure on this offense to produce, and I mean, recently they've been doing that. They scored 6, 3, 13, and 10 runs over their last 4 games. Like, if they can swing the bats like that, they're definitely going to win some games. And look at the numbers for this one, guys. We see the A's at plus 130, the Padres at minus 148. Neither one of these teams have great trends. I mean, the Padres are 15-20 at home. Oakland is 11-21 on the road. Guys, I'm leaning towards the Padres minus 148 in this game, but I do not have the guts to bet it. It's not going to, doesn't feel good betting on the Padres ever this year. So go ahead and give me the Padres minus 148 as a small lean, but I'm going to go ahead and stay away. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Houston Astros. They're going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. We saw the Astros took the 4-3 loss in game 1 thanks to an absolute comedy of errors and mistakes there in the 10th inning. Crazy bad stuff. We saw errors from the pitcher. It was just an absolute mess out there. The Giants end up coming away with that win, and now the Astros have to go into game 2 of this series fresh off of what has to feel an absolutely just terrible game. They're handing the ball in this one to Ronel Blanco. He's 5-2 on the season with a 2.78 ERA, but his last 2 starts have not looked so hot, guys. He got knocked around by the Cardinals his last time out, going 5 2/3 innings, giving up 5 hits and 4 earned runs. Start before that, back on the 31st, he went up against the Twins, went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 4 earned runs on 3 hits, gave up a home run in that one. He's given up 1 home run in each of his last 3 starts, and starts against the A's, the Twins, and the Cardinals. Not exactly a murderer's row there. So definitely some questions about how Blanco is throwing the ball right now, and in general, the Houston Astros bullpen isn't looking great. They're around 24th or 25th in the majors with a bullpen ERA of well over 4, so not a lot of positives there. The offense looked like they were coming together. I mean, they've scored 3 and 7 runs over their last couple games, so not necessarily falling off a cliff here. This is a team that you should be able to trust to put up plenty of offense, but it's been something of a struggle somehow, despite the fact that they're 2nd in the majors in batting average and 6th in the majors and on base percentage. I mean, they're 4th in freaking slugging percentage, for crying out loud, and they've scored the 10th most runs in the major leagues. Like, just not a team that finds a way to push runs across the plate. Could have used a few more runs last night, or just use your glove and your arm correctly there in the infield. Just crazy stuff there at the end of that game, but we will definitely take it. They're going up against the Giants in this game, who have now won 4 out of their last 5. They're 33-34 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Jordan Hicks, who's 4-2 this year with a 2.82 ERA coming off of a very short start his last time out against the Diamondbacks, guys. He only lasted 3 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. He didn't give up a home run, so that's nice. He walked 4 and struck out 7 over 3 2/3 innings. Like, seems like bro is just all over the place in that game. We do see the Giants are 3-2 over his last 5 starts, but yeah, this is not somebody that I really trust too much out there on the mound. And how much do we really trust the San Francisco Giants bullpen? Well, guys, to be honest, we actually trust them quite a bit. I mean, a 3.01 bullpen ERA is nothing to turn your nose up at, but man, you can only do so much if the starter can't go deep into the game. That really blows through the bullpen pretty quick. And this offense not really putting up a ton of runs, despite this like winning track they've been on. I mean, they've scored 4, 2, 3, 5, and 9 runs over their last 5 games. They've won 4 of those games, but this team is basically average offensively. I mean, they're exactly league average in runs scored, slightly above average in slugging percentage, but a slugging percentage of 382. Not going to get me excited. Betting 246 as a team, that's fine, but there's really nobody on this in this lineup that I'm super terrified to see at the plate. So yeah, guys, not super scared of this offense. In general, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Astros at -112, the Giants at -104. We have an over/under in this game of 7.5. We see Houston is only 11 and 18 on the road. We see that they are 39, 24, and 3 to the under, so they are a big under team. The Giants are 17 and 14 at home, and they're putting Jordan Hicks out there on the mound. I don't know, guys. This is a really tough one to figure out. I don't know what to really expect here from Blanco. If you're forcing me to bet this game, I guess give me the Astros to bounce back -112, but overall, I really have very, very little confidence in either side in this one. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.